What's up, guys? So I wanted to talk to you about the CV axle bind issue with these. This is a 92 Suzuki Carry. It happens to all K trucks. Pretty much as it doesn't have much articulation on the shorter axle side. So you get axle bind. And most people tell you to lift the wheels off the ground. And that's a little extreme. So if you lift it from the differential, it'll extend both the axles all the way, and that's not the most extreme case. That's never going to happen unless you're like high centered on a rock, but then you have bigger issues. So you lift it here by the frame, just on this side to test. The other side's not going to bind. This will bind before the other side. This already has a 2-inch lift on it, so just this side is lifted on the frame, so just this wheel is off the ground. And when I spin it, I can feel a little click, and that's the bind. And I'll show you here from the differential.
Alright, so here's a look at the differential. When I spin it, if you watch the diff, see it move like that? That slight bit of movement is the binding right there. And you could feel it. That's just barely any binding. In my opinion, you really don't even need to do a diff lock or a diff drop, but I think it's better because I'm going to be off-roading this quite a bit. So I'm going to show you how to build a bracket to lower the diff. So to get that bolt out, at least on my truck, and I'm assuming most Suzuki Carries, it's a 14-inch or a size 14, I think it's millimeter, socket, and then a 14 wrench. And the wrench is gonna go on the opposite side where the nut is and stay on it like that. So when you twist off the socket, since it's practically impossible to use two hands here, and then I've broken it off here a couple times, so it should be, it's not loose enough. Alright, the nut is off. Now I just gotta take out this bolt, and that pretty much, you kind of gotta play with the diff, drop it or raise it, and it'll get loose. There we go. It was just stuck on a thread. This is why I have carpal tunnel. Alright. So if you drop or raise the floor jack, see how it raises or lowers the diff? So yours will go smoother than this, but since I had the previous bracket on, this side and the other side, I squeezed them together. So it looks like I bent that metal a little bit and now it's binding. It doesn't want to go down. I'm gonna put this wrench in here. Ah, fucker. All right, there we go. So now the diff up and down freely. And that changes your CV axles, the angle of them. This is the original bracket I had on it. That went in there, and then it was about right there. That was the drop. That was 1.5 inches, and you could see the notch I had, because if I didn't have the notch, when I put this in, it wouldn't line up with the bottom hole. So I had to create a notch so I could tilt it forward. So I measured out this one. I'm gonna have to do some trimming because that doesn't really fit in there. Inside here is a little less than 1 inch. So I'm going to trim that down.
Probably could use a little less than that. But if you see how the differential drops forward and down, it doesn't just drop down. So you have to make a little bracket. I guess you can't really see this part of it. Anyways, the differential drops forward and down like this versus straight down. So I'm gonna cut these brackets and throw them on. All right, so I got my brackets made. Yeah, I know, right? Heavy duty shit. These are just Simpson strong ties. Anyways, yeah, it's gonna be like that. So I cut a piece of aluminum tubing to go in the gap up in here so the bracket doesn't bend. This top bracket, it'll be up in there. And then you have to get a second bolt. It's just some 5-inch strong ass bolt. This is the one that came from it. I had this one from my Super Duty. So I'm gonna put the top one in. I'm gonna let's just see if this fits first. Yeah, it'll work. Maybe not. Gotta go in the bracket. And that hose is in the way, so I gotta raise it. Now I can lower it. There we go. That looks like it'll work. I'm gonna put some red Loctite on this nut here because I don't want this shit moving. So I'm gonna cake it 3 times the amount you should. And then I'm gonna regret it when I take it off later, or attempt to take it off later. Oh, these things are not easy to get underneath. Zero space. All right, that's on. Now I'm gonna drop diff just a bit, grab the other bolt, see if I cut off enough, which it looks like I did. It's got some play, which is what you want. Some more red Loctite. I'm sure that there's nice welder fabricators out there that are thinking of the bracket that they're gonna make that's gonna look so much nicer than this, and that's fine. But this is gonna work for a lot of people who already have this stuff. All right, so now the diff has play up like it should, and then down like it also should. And that's the drop. So now, I'm gonna tighten this thing. Alright. It's pretty tight. Make sure I still got play in the diff. And I do. And then this one, if I'm correct, uses 15. Yep. And the bottom, the diff, the bushing has a metal rod in it, so you really can't over tighten this. The brackets will bend just a bit, but not enough to make
So see the play in the diff there? It moves and the bracket doesn't. That was the issue I had before. And it wasn't a good issue. Alright. So here's what my bracket looks like. That's just a piece of aluminum tubing inside. There's on that side. And there's that side. Does it look strong enough? I think so. But it works. And now my diff dropped. And as you can see, cross member has plenty clearance. There it is, guys. Hope you liked the video. Not much info out there on doing this. So hit the like, subscribe. See you guys later.